Hey guys, I'm back with some more fun stuff with developing an iOS application using Swift using advanced MVVM. So in the last tutorial, we had seen how to create or bind a table view using MVVM, and this is how it looks right now. And we need to actually implement something where we can add a new item, which right now does not exist. That's something we will do in this tutorial. Plus, we will see how to delegate an action from the view controller to the child view controller and then back to the parent view controller. So let's get started. Some of the changes I have done from the previous tutorial, if you see, is that I have changed the layout a little bit. This was at the bottom, I have moved it to the top just to make it easier to work with. And some other changes which I am right now going to make is on the ViewModel side, where currently whatever I have as struct, I'm going to make it as classes. I am more comfortable working with classes than structs. That's the only reason. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with structs, then you can go ahead and use that. So changes will lead to some more changes which we have to do. So I need init here. And last, that's it, and I do have to initialize those. So that being done, let's just run the app and see whether it works. It seems to work now, so let's continue creating whatever we want right now. So let's go back to the view controller and see what we have. So we have on add item event integrated, but nothing is there. It's not yet coupled with the view controller or the view model. So let's go back to our view model and see what needs to be done. So I have a presentable right now. Let's also add something on the ToDoItemViewDelegate. We right now don't have an actionable present delegate. Let's create that. I'll call it something called as ToDoItemViewDelegate. Have a function on on add ToDoItem. So basically the input from there or from this view will be the text view or the text field. So I have to receive the value here. So instead, what we already have is, we don't have anything yet, so let me create something for that. Let me call it text value or new to do value. Let me implement the protocol here. So this is what will receive the value from the text field. Oh, we already had it in the last tutorial, so maybe just we'll move this to the presentable. I'm just keeping sure that making sure that whatever I have is exposed through a protocol. So that's fine. So this new to do item, let's see whether it's already there, used anywhere here. I don't feel so. So This will become more interesting when we are actually integrating RxSwift, where we will be able to bind this with the text field directly. So that's the only reason I'm keeping it for the time being in this view model. Even if you are using view model approach without RxSwift, this is the way to go. So we have it right now. Let's see what modification we need to make in the view in the presentable or in the delegate side. I need to pass the value, new value, p string, and this delegate needs to be implemented in the view model. So I have this right now. So I'm receiving this value. Let's print it and see. New to do value received in view model. So that's okay right now. So we are receiving that. Let's go back to our view controller, and what we should do on this is to call the view model function there, and this is our text field. So let's also do some validation before we send it. Let's call it new to do. We have the text field, text value. So we will not send it if it's nil value. No value entered. So there's one more check we can do here to see if this is not empty. So no to do value entered. This is what we will send it to the view model. So that all looks fine now. Let's keep a breakpoint and see, rerun the app. So what do I have? Wash clothes, wash car, buy groceries. Sample item. So that's received now, and we are sending it. So we can see that the new to do value is received in view model. Let's go back to the view model. So you have it here. So the next step that we need to do is add it to our existing items collection. So for that, let's do some things. So I need the item index, which will be the items collection count incremented. So I have that. Next is to create the new item. Use the ToDoItem view model. It accepts a string, which is the ID, which I'll pass the item index, and the value, which is a new value which we received. So it says cannot convert, so That will be fine. So what have we done? We have received it, we have added, we have created an object. Now let's add it to the items collection. New item. So that's done, but we are still not yet done because we need to reload the table view once the value is added. So for that, what will we do? For that, let's create a protocol which will receive this value back from the view model to the view controller. For that, let's call it ToDoItemView. I'm just calling it to map it to the view controller. It's more like a protocol to the view which will read out the values which is received from the view model. So I'm just calling it ToDoItemView. So what should we do here? So we just need to reload the table view, or maybe we can call it as, yeah, let's call it view reload, or maybe call it insert to do item, because basically whatever we receive from the view model we will reinsert it here. So let's see what we need to do. We need to implement this in our view controller. Insert to do item, and let's once the insert has happened, let's go back to our append place, and for this to receive or send it back to the view model needs to have a reference to the view controller, a weak reference, which we will expose through the protocol which we created right now. So let's create a weak reference. Let's call it view ToDoItemView, and maybe just initialize it so that we are pretty much sure that this needs to be used when the view model is getting created. Let's go back to the view model, to the view controller, and see if the instantiation is happening here. Pass the view controller, we're passing the ToDoItemView. As this view controller is inheriting, we can pass the self reference, which is the view controller reference. So this looks good now. Let's go back and see what's going on. So weak has to be applied on a class protocol. So let's go back and make it a class protocol. That will be fine now. So view is received through this. We are setting the value. So we are having a reference here. So what we are trying to do here, there are a couple of ways in which you can use this. Either you can create a completion block here, or have a protocol implemented, which you can also use. So let's go with the view way right now. So what I'll do is, once this is done, I'll call view dot. So basically what is happening is, as soon as the item is added on success, we are notifying the view that the item is added, so the view can reload the table view again. Let's go back to the view controller. So we know that the table is being inserted. Let's do one thing. let's create a table view, insert. So all we need to do is have the ViewModel items reference. That's available through the ViewModel, which is the same ViewModel which had the new item got added. Let's say the items object is empty, which might not be the case because it's always there. So what we are trying to do is inserting the row from the items collection as the last item. So this will give you a nice bit of animation when the item is getting added. Also, let's handle some other things which might be required for smooth transition. Let's run this and see what is going on. We have the application now. Sample item. That's working now. You can see that the new item is added with the nice animation. So let's walk through what we have done as of now. So if you're starting from the view controller, on add item, we are passing the value through the ViewModel function on add item, so which will receive the value, do the manipulations required like getting the ID, the new ID required, and receive the value, set that value, append it to the collection, and notify back the view controller about the change so that it can reload the table view or have the begin and end edits insert working on it. So that's how we have segregated the responsibilities here. So view is only just doing the work of displaying the data or doing an action. All of the logic is being delegated to the view controller. Let's say in this case, if you want to have it added to a server side, then ViewModel is the one which will call the respective service managers. Let's say if it is a local service manager or an API service manager, that call will be happening from the ViewModel to the corresponding managers. So we have clear delegation of responsibilities in these cases. So I guess this tutorial gives you a brief idea of what's going on or what needs to be done when you are implementing a complex feature. So let's work a little more to clean up some of the things. I don't want this text field to remain with the value after the insert. So let's work a little bit more on that. So I was telling you about data binding possible with RxSwift. So to enable that, let's do something with these things. So in the definition, instead of accepting a value, let me just use the property defined in the ViewModel called new item, new to do item. So that's the one which will carry the value which is required to be set here. So what's going on right now, it's let's do some manipulations. So let's guard that value. new value is equal to, if it's not null, then we will accept it, else we'll return, and maybe we can log that error. And use this to create the object now. So there are a couple of things which we need to take care here. So we need to know that this property will be needs to be reset when the insert is completed. Let's do that here. And we also need to make sure that the values being set before this event happens. So we'll just set it. ViewModel has new to-do item which will receive this value. So basically we are just using the ViewModel property to send it to the view controller, and we don't then need this value to be passed to this function. This will really make sense when we are using RxSwift, because right now it feels like we're setting the value here and then sending it across on the function when the function is executed. But when it is RxSwift, that will automatically take care of the data binding, the two-way data binding, where whenever the value is changed on the view controller side, it will be updated on the view model and vice versa. So let's keep it like this for the time being, and then execute and see. And one more thing we need to do is, when we are inserting this, we have to also reset the new value of the table view here, or the text field here. That will be the view model value. So let's rerun. Washing utensils, which I don't like much, but still let's add it for fun. So you can see that the item got added and the text field got cleared. So that is pretty much working right now. So that's okay. Let's do something more to also see how we can delegate the did select row at index actions to the view controllers. For that we need to do some modifications to our view controllers. So how I am going to design this is like I will receive the value or the action from the view controller through the cell to the specific item view models directly, and then delegate it back to the parent view controller. So for that, let's start modifying things a little. We already have a presentable here, to do item presentable. Similarly, let's create to do item view delegate. This is more like the view delegate which we added for the to do item view, to do view model. So view delegate is something which will have a function which will have on item selected triggered. We don't need to pass any ID or index from the view controller, because once it is received in this particular view model which is directly representing each cell, then we can handle it over here. So we have this defined right now, ToDoItemViewDelegate, which we have to implement in our view model. So let's create an extension for that. ToDoItemViewModel will implement ToDoItemViewDelegate. So we have the on item selected. It's nothing but on item selected received in view model on what are we calling there? It'll be this did select row at that's directly mapping to that one. So let's print and see did select row at received for item with id is equal to, let's call just the id because we already know that there is an id property in this one. So that is what we need to see while we debug it. So let's go back to our view controller. We need to get the reference to our item view model, which will be there in our view model items. So we can access it using index path.row. It will give us the view model. But as we know, view model items, where is that? The view model items, go back, it's a presentable. So we will have to get a reference or cast it to our view model. Anyway, we know that this is also of type to do item view delegate because we implemented it, and then we can directly call on item selected on it. So what's going on here? We get a reference to item view model and then access the on item selected function through the ToDoItemViewDelegate. So if this works, what we will see is this getting printed in our console. Let's see that. We clear everything. Sample item 1, sample item 2, maybe wash utensils, which I hate. So let's see, on click of this it should give me ID. So you can see that when I clicked on that specific item, I received this ID which was set for that particular item. So we are not passing anything from the view controller, but in turn it's being received, or the reference is being used. So wash car index 3, we know that it's index 3, this is 4. So this gives an opportunity to handle whatever features that we need or actions that we need to do, delegate that to the view model, and view controller still remains very neat and very lean. So this is one of the ways of handling the view model actions. So I was talking about delegating it back to the parent view model, but that we can actually see in our next tutorial, where I'll be showing you how to bind or how to show the new menu feature, the left and right menus, which we can show using view models itself and take actions based on whatever actions we are doing, and then delegate it back to the view model. So this is getting pretty much interesting right now. Whatever we are heading towards is the usage of RxSwift, which will make it really interesting. So hang on there. Thank you.